The pre-dawn hush of Cedar Hollow, a sleepy suburban enclave tucked along the gentle slopes of eastern Oregon, shattered at 5:12 a.m. On a chilly October morning in 2024, a sharp knock more like a battering ram's warning yanked me from sleep, my heart pounding as I stumbled to the window. Through the blinds, I saw Brenda Walsh, the 57-year-old HOA president of Pine Ridge Estates, flanked by her loyal minions, their silhouettes stark against the faint glow of my porch light. Brenda, in a trench coat over garish cheetah print pajamas, clutched a crumpled flyer like it was a royal decree, her platinum hair sprayed into an unyielding fortress. I'm Ethan Carter, 46, a retired photojournalist who traded war zones for the quiet of 42, Willow Lane, a modest split level where I'd hoped to plant wildflowers and savor slow mornings. That hope died when Brenda swept into our HOA like a conqueror, turning bylaws into a bludgeon. She had no clue my brother, Sheriff Nate Carter, was snoring in my guest room, his badge a silent sentinel against her suburban siege. Brenda's emergency inspection was about to crash harder than her golf cart on a joyride, and I was ready to watch her empire burn. 3 months earlier, Pine Ridge was a low-key neighborhood pool upkeep, no neon houses, simple stuff. Then Brenda, a former PR flack whose career tanked in a 2010 ethics scandal, seized the HOA presidency, her leopard print blazers and yapping chihuahuas heralding a reign of terror. Her first salvo hit my mailbox, a typo-riddled notice, complete with blurry photos, declaring my wildflower garden an assault on community aesthetics. She demanded color-coded, height-regulated plants, approved by her committee, really just her jittery VP, Gerald Monroe, and 2 clipboard-wielding sycophants, Stan Reed and Gary Tate. I'd faced down corrupt officials in my reporting days, so I wasn't fazed. I wanted peace, not war, but Brenda saw my calm as defiance. Nate, crashing at my place during his condo's remodel, smirked at her antics. She needs a hobby, he said, wincing at her stale welcome muffins and her lecture on guest parking rules she'd invented. Her notices piled up, my stepping stones non-compliant, my doormat unwelcoming. I filed each in a folder labeled Brenda's blunders, snapping photos, saving emails, my old instincts kicking in. Nate saw my growing dossier and chuckled. Still chasing scoops, huh? Brenda's goons got bolder, peering into windows, jiggling doorknobs. My neighbor, Clara Ellis, 78, who'd baked more peach cobblers than I could count, whispered that Gerald trampled her prized dahlias chasing her unauthorized birdbath. Fear was Brenda's weapon, and she wielded it like a cudgel. Some caved repainted, replanted to avoid her wrath, but she fixated on me. My polite replies, citing bylaws and common sense, only stoked her crusade. I caught Stan perched on my trash bin with binoculars, nearly toppling when I called him out. Nate, ever practical, urged me to upgrade locks and install cameras. Power-drunk folks do stupid things, he said. I did, mounting high-def lenses around my property, their feeds time-stamped and encrypted. I also chatted with neighbors. Amos Tate, a retired mechanic across the street, was livid over a fine for his decade-old mailbox, now a visual blight. We swapped stories, spotting Brenda's pattern. Her allies skated, dissenters got hammered. Clara overheard Brenda plotting to make an example of me with a safety sweep. My pulse quickened, but I stayed cool, alerting Nate. I'll crash tonight, he said, his sheriff's grin dark. Don't open the door. Yell if it gets dicey. I charged cameras, checked locks, almost eager. Tomorrow, Brenda would learn. Sure enough, before dawn, gravel crunched outside. Brenda's posse Gerald, Stan, Gary crept up my walk, her flyer raised like a shield. The knock came, sharp and self-important. I flicked on the porch light, stepping out. Morning, Brenda. What's this about? She launched into her spiel, claiming internal hazards justified her raid. I leaned on the frame, calm as stone. That flyer's worthless. You need a warrant. Her face reddened, Stan muttering about electrical violations. They threatened to break in, Brenda boasting of a master key. I stifled a laugh. That's when Gary fiddled with my lock, my adrenaline spiking. Nate, I called, voice steady. Silence, then boots on the stairs. The guest window slid open, Nate's silhouette looming, badge glinting. What the hell you doing? He roared. Brenda froze, Stan paled, Gerald swayed, Gary dropped his tools. Sheriff Nate Carter, he barked. This is attempted burglary and trespassing. Their bravado collapsed priceless. Brenda stammered. We're the HOA. Nate cut her off. The law doesn't care. Stay put. He warned of charges, banning them from my property, and sent them packing, tails tucked. By breakfast, Cedar Hollow buzzed. Clara spread the tale of Nate's takedown, neighbors whispering over coffee. Amos and I pulled HOA records, finding harassment patterns, fines for allies waived, enemies hounded. Board member Ellen Hayes, a quiet bookkeeper, slipped me emails where Brenda ordered her to dig dirt on dissenters, fining them until they fled. It was a smoking gun. We hired a lawyer, Clara's niece Laura, a bulldog who loved the case. Gerald, now acting president, panicked, handing over records that exposed sloppy accounting. Brenda's landscaping funded by HOA discretionary accounts, contracts to her cronies, her yard of the month a rigged cash grab. Her emergency rule was a late-night TV fever dream, illegal as it was absurd. The showdown came at an emergency HOA meeting, the community center packed to the rafters. Laura laid it bare. Camera footage of the raid, Brenda's emails, skewed finances. Clara, voice quaking, stood. You scared me out of my garden, Brenda. That's not letting it's bullying. Neighbors shared tales. Amos's mailbox, Ellen's band porch swing, a kid's lemonade stand find. The room roared, voting Brenda out in a landslide. Gerald quit, slinking off. Brenda's lawyer hustled her out amid jeers, her golf cart trailing like a defeated parade float. Months later, a forensic audit clawed back misspent funds. Brenda, facing embezzlement charges, took a plea. $30,000 in fines, probation, her house sold at a loss. She vanished, chihuahuas in tow. Pine Ridge reformed new board, fair bylaws, no patrols, but dog walkers. I joined the interim board with Amos and Ellen, ensuring no encore. Neighbors planted wildflowers, waved freely. Nate, back in his condo, swung by for coffee, joking about his easiest non-arrest. Cedar Hollow felt alive, but I stayed wary, my cameras ready. Brenda's fall exposed a truth, unchecked power, even petty, poisons. With facts, allies, and a sheriff brother, we toppled a tyrant. I stood in my garden, wildflowers swaying, peace hard won. Was Ethan's evidence-gathering justice or obsession? Should Brenda's plea be lighter or harsher? Can Pine Ridge stay free, or will new Brenda's rise? Share your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for stories that demand your stand.